The vector of this disease is the tobacco industry. They are merchants of death. This is a preventable illness and it's an addiction. So it's not as simple as just saying, well, you can just give it up, because most people are addicted and it's very hard to do so. I'm Deborah Chen. I'm the executive director of the Heart Foundation of Jamaica.
I'm Barbara McGaw, the tobacco control advisor for the Jamaica Coalition of Tobacco Control. I started on a grant, a project done through the Heart Foundation in 2008. Formerly, I had worked in HIV/AIDS training and development, and was invited to apply for this position, and then I've been in there ever since.
I have been working at the Heart Foundation of Jamaica for over 30 years, and tobacco control, we really started working on it when the Framework Convention for Tobacco Control was being developed by the WHO. And we formed the Coalition for Tobacco Control, and as a consequence of that, we have been working actively in that area ever since.
When you look at the health harms of tobacco and the fact that a company is dedicated to continue addicting persons without any sense of responsibility, I would say, it's very, very important. And one of the things we realize is that the smokers themselves have no idea.
My father died at 64 of a heart attack, and I would say likely due to tobacco use. But I think they were just from a different generation where the tobacco industry knew of the health harms of tobacco, but it wasn't as widely known as it is now. And who was smoking? The very doctors and nurses. And Santa Claus. There are ads with Santa Claus with a cigarette. And that was when they were in their youth. So one can understand how they got addicted. And some of that generation have been able to stop it. But some, unfortunately, even if they stopped, went on to suffer the ill effects later on. We're very concerned about the rise in the use of e-cigarettes, which is overtaking traditional cigarettes in retail outlets such as pharmacies in Jamaica. And you will see disposable vapes right there on the counter where you have to pay. They're sold to anybody. The children are being addicted. As you know, they come in different shapes and forms. They're colorful. They have different flavors.
One of the things that the tobacco industry has been doing is scholarships. They do scholarships because, again, we don't have a law on Article 13 as yet. So they've been hanging tooth and nail to that one, where they give scholarships to tertiary universities, but persons who are, bright but just don't have the funds. So that one was very difficult, because unless you can give an option or an other way of helping those students, people say, but why are you stopping them? In the past, they've had ministers of education at the handing over ceremony for these 100 students, and this sort of, goodwill type of things.
The way it's happening now with the scholarship, it's directly linked to them, and they try to paint themselves as good corporate citizens. They shouldn't be directly allowed to give money to any entity, really, and then get the glory out of it and then paint themselves as good corporate citizens, while on one hand, causing death and harm to thousands of people.
The tobacco companies in Jamaica, they actually targeted vendors. They would give them their umbrellas, and then they would give them stuff, and a lot of those vendors are in the lower economic areas. So that's how they really target.
Yeah, at one time they did have a program where they gave them motorbikes to go into the inner city communities and sell their products. This is a preventable illness and it's an addiction. So it's not as simple as just saying, well, you can just give it up, because most people are addicted and it's very hard to do so. It is those in the lower socioeconomic group that have the highest levels of smoking, and those are the ones who can least afford it. There's way more to be gained by curbing tobacco use than there is by not doing so, because of the various budgetary constraints, the various spending on health, people premature death, impacting the workforce and so on, medications that have to be bought, cancer treatment. So return on investment is something that I think policymakers could more identify with, especially maybe those who are not necessarily involved in health.
Tobacco kills, and we need to protect our people. You have a right in terms of public health to protect your citizens, because the very challenges of the citizens in terms of health. It's going to impact the health budget and impact loss of productive activity at work. I think the governments have a responsibility to ensure that people are protected, from the harms, and at least know about what they need to know about tobacco.
I would advise advocates that they have to be very aware of their environment in relation to the tobacco industry. What are they up to? Try and keep on top of the news, keep on top of what's going on in the environment, keep on top of the statistics. Have an awareness of you're going about your daily business, what's happening with the cigarettes here, what's happening, be observant. You also have to stay on top of global happenings, because British American Tobacco, in the case of Jamaica, it's a global company. So you can read up and keep tabs on them globally, and you can be assured that it's going to come down the stream eventually to what's happening in Jamaica.